one of the biggest things people are missing is the awareness that you have to start showing up on these models. If you don't show up on these models, your ad strategy, your organic strategy, your flyering, all of that's going to be trumped by somebody who's in their bathroom with water flowing out of their sink, typing in, "Hey chat, who do I call for, a plumber in my area? Please." And then, with agents, please call them, please get the bids. Like, if you are totally out of that process, how are people going to find you?
Welcome back to the High Ticket Systems podcast, where we talk about marketing, sales, client acquisition, AI, and everything in between. Today, we have a former political operative turned marketing specialist with over a decade of experience in media production, branding, and marketing strategy. She's the co founder of Lead Rush Social, a marketing education and consulting firm that helps founder led businesses own their growth by clarifying their strategy and building AI optimized marketing systems within their business. Everyone, please welcome Mrs. Sara Fernandez.
Hey everyone, I'm super excited to talk to you today, Jordan. So looking forward to the discussion.
Perfect. Yeah, we're super happy to have you on. With that being said, let's dive in. So, the first question we have for you is, can you tell us a bit more about what Lead Rush does in a very high level overview, exactly how you guys help companies grow?
Yeah, so we do a combination of paid marketing strategy. So my husband has a performance marketing background. I have more a brand media background. Obviously, with the political side, I was much more in the media space. And so we've kind of combined forces. And mostly what we help people do is really clarify their marketing strategy and then figure out how do they install the systems within their business that will allow them to continue to generate leads and not just be reliant on agencies or consultants or coaches like us. We really want to set business owners up for success to be able to have those systems in house, have their team run them. And I think with AI and all the new changes coming with that, we're realizing even marketing professionals, other agencies that maybe are creative agencies or social media agencies, they're realizing, wow, I need to understand the lead side of things because some of my job can be outsourced now.
Great point and great insights. I'm really happy that you want to install systems internally into businesses opposed to giving the keys away to your castle, right? I'm
Yeah.
the type of guy where I want to learn how the system is done, how to create the own system so I'm more in control opposed to outsourcing it to someone else. So I'm really,
Hmm.
really glad that you're in that space.
Yeah.
What made you pivot from kind of what you were doing before to this here?
Really, I had a strong brand background, so very creative work, production work, video, podcast producing, things like that, and I love that work, but I think what we just really saw was we have to tie our work to people's bottom line. So, if they can see what we can do to get them leads and results, if we can, 3x, 10x their business, they'll trust us so much more than if we can just put out a pretty website, podcast, video, whatever that is. And I think that's something that a lot of creative agency owners like me are kind of in the midst of realizing like, gosh, like if you can have an intern with an agent do all this stuff, like an AI agent, then what is the value I'm bringing to, these business owners? So I think for us, we just made that pivot probably about a year and a half ago where we were like, we really need to shift things from just doing the creative work. We still do a fair amount of like personal branding, creative work, but it's more really trying to train and educate people, especially marketing. Even we have agency owners that come to us, SEO agency owners that are like, "Hey, I need to bring paid advertising into my agency. I was doing only SEO. How do I bring this in?"
No, great talking points there. So I used to play baseball for a long time, and one of the sayings that we had was, if you can hit, you can play. It didn't matter if you sucked at defense, if you had zero, glove skills or
Yeah.
tackle the baseball,
Yeah,
you can hit, you can play. And I bring
absolutely.
this up because it's kind of like in business. If you can find a way to bring in new business, to generate new opportunity, you will always be valuable within an organization. And I think you kind of were alluding
Yeah,
to that. Perfect.
exactly.
When you are working with businesses, have you niched down with one specific vertical or one specific industry, or do you cover multiple?
So me personally, like as a consultant, I did consulting for 10 years up until about like, yeah, like I said, 2 years ago when we made this pivot with our business. But I was mostly niched into leaders. So I was working with political leaders, CEOs, startup founders, people like that. That's because of the background that I had. But now we've sort of shifted towards local businesses. A lot of them, it's a very simple. problem to solve for us as advertisers is like, hey, you're not even running Google ads. That's like, let's just start there, you know? But we've really focused on like local businesses. I mean, that could also be a larger local business. Like we have law firm clients that are much larger revenue wise, but still the same problems. Maybe they're running multi channel marketing, but it's not really optimized to scale. And so I think the thing that we've found is it's in an interesting space right now. I think we're kind of, to be honest, on the cusp of like helping more marketing agency owners and marketers while also serving local business. The reason we thought let's go towards local business is we're like, well, they're less AI disruptable businesses. So if we're helping a plumber, an HVAC guy, or landscaper, boat rental company, car detailer, they have less disruption coming their way. But it also is something where maybe it's a little bit slower to adopt, a paid strategy or slower to adopt AI. I think a lot of folks are waking up to it, but so many have just relied on industry magazines or word of mouth, doing flyering and mailers in their neighborhoods and in the surrounding areas. And I think local business owners are seeing that they need to get more savvy. They need to show up on AI chat. When you type in plumber near me, find me the best plumber into Gemini or into ChatGPT on your phone, you want your business, you want that person to find your business. And so I think that's what we've found is a lot of these local business guys are like, oh, I do need to pay attention to this because people aren't just coming off of Yelp reviews or coming off of Angie's List or, people are actually just outsourcing that thinking and that researching to these language learning models.
Do you help local service businesses or even other agencies on the consulting side install AI SEO? Like, do you know how to do that for other companies?
Yeah, so we're starting to dip our toe into that. The answer is yes. It's not as simple as one would hope. Last year, we were like, "Oh, great. We can just run like paid advertising does help you rank better on the language, on the models." But the other thing is you really have to be it's actually PR. Like you really have to be in those superlawyers.com. You have to be in those ranking publications for local businesses. Also, if you have some local press, like you've been awarded something, things like that, that's where these models are really drawing their credibility from. They're like saying, okay, we're going to rank these higher than someone who's running really aggressive ads. And for us, we encourage people like your Google reviews really matter now, especially locally, because AI does use the reviewers and what they're saying about you to verify against the other factors that it's reviewing. So paid ads and paid advertising can be a good strategy right now. This could shift in 6 months. I'm not sure exactly where we're headed here with how models are working, but I do think one of the biggest things people are missing is the awareness that you have to start showing up on these models. If you don't show up on these models, your ad strategy, your organic strategy, your flyering, all of that's going to be trumped by somebody who's in their bathroom with water flowing out of their sink, typing in, "Hey, chat, who do I call for, a plumber in my area? Please." And then, with agents, please call them, please get the bids. Like, if you are totally out of that process, how are people going to find you?
Man, no, you gave some great insights right there. It's not a it's all perspective, right? I don't wanna say it's a scary world because I have so many AI agents in my business, and thank God they exist. Holy moke. So
Yeah.
but on the flip side, right, like, if you're not utilizing these AI agents, if you're against AI and against AI SEO, I feel because that's the way that the world is adopting, that's the way that the world's going, and I don't wanna sound harsh, but business is harsh. Adopt or die, So,
Yeah. It really is that.
for sure. So in regards to I think when you started Lead Rush, you wanted to focus on local service businesses. It makes total sense. I think you mentioned pivoting and kinda helping other consultants and other agencies. Is like acquire more skills, essentially download they would download what you know into their
Yeah.
organization kind of?
Yeah. So, I think one of the things we're finding is, business owners certainly need these tools, but the people that serve business owners also need these tools. There's many agency owners that they're really great at what they do with social media or with SEO or with even with paid advertising. But like when they think about trying to optimize even their own business with AI tools or passing that along to their clients. And for us, like as an example, we run paid advertising where we wanna know how things are from the whole chain. So when somebody clicks from a meta ad, goes to your website, and then signs up or bails out, we track all of that. A typical digital agency doesn't care about heat mapping your website. That's not their job, that's not what they do. They do the paid ad placement. a bunch of your ads or, a bunch of your traffic's going off a cliff, like, they can address that with you and say, "Hey, we think your team needs to fix your website or your landing page or whatever." But if you don't have those in-house resources to do that, or if your agency is not advising that, then you have a problem where nothing's talking to each other. And I like to think of it as like a bridge. Like any point, any crack in a bridge, if you have a car driving over it, it's going in that dip. So we're trying to fix the whole bridge from buyer sees you to buyer converts and all those divots in between. Agencies can even not be shoring up those divots. So I think even smart agency owners are like, I really need to keep track of all this stuff for my clients. I can't just be telling them, yeah, you got this many impressions or whatever. If the conversion side of it is not clear, that's a problem.
Right. I don't care if I get a billion impressions. If I earn $0 from those billion
Yeah,
impressions, what the hell is the point, you know?
exactly. Yeah.
I think attribution is so underutilized and not spoken about enough in the marketing world. And what you're describing is performance marketing to a T, right? It's cool to get impressions, it's cool to drive traffic, but where is the lead falling off? And if they are coming from Meta and we're also running Google, did they ever click on a Google ad, right?
Right.
You need to track the customer journey. What softwares do you use to
Yeah. Yeah, so we use, Microsoft Clarity, we use to install heat mapping, but we also use AI to now analyze all those, recordings. If you like even a year ago, we were like having to watch them ourselves and try to figure out, okay, where's the button failing or whatever. Now we just give it to Claude and we're like, diagnose the problem here. But, there's a lot of like softwares that I think what we feel is there's a problem where you're duct taping all these softwares together a little bit where you're like you have Google Analytics, you have, Meta's analytics. You also can integrate some of these dashboards. There's lots of tools, obviously CallRail, SEMrush. There's all these different tools. But I think for us, it's like we are still very much in the mix of like having to interpret like, okay, do we have the right information from Google? Maybe, maybe not, or let's look at our landing page tracking and see what's happened there and make sure we know exactly how many customers came through the checkout page. Let's compare that to what's happening with Microsoft Clarity and really interpreting all of that for the business or the client. I think what we are hoping to do in the next probably 18 months is develop something that will make all of that talk together because it's a headache for everybody to try to, whether you're doing it yourself or you're in house doing it or you're an agency doing it for clients, you're like, I hope that I'm getting the right information from all these dashboards.
no, right.
So, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
For sure, and I've used Meta's dashboard, Google's dashboard. I don't know what the hell is wrong with these damn near trillion-dollar companies, but they can't
Yeah.
track shit, dude. Like,
No, yeah.
they miss almost everything. I'm like, how
Yeah.
are you this large of a tech company and
I
your
know.
execution is dog, and it's
Yeah.
horrible.
It's horrible, yeah, and I think that's a thing that it's like, okay, well, even, with ChatGPT rolling out advertising, like, we're like, what is that gonna like, what is that dashboard? Like, what's that gonna look like, How accurate is it gonna be? And since we're in, like, conversion business more than the lead business, we have to defend, like, if we're saying we're gonna help you create a system inside your company, we have to actually do that. We can't say we got you this many impressions or what have you. Like we have to say you paid us this amount and now you're making this amount based on facts that we can show you. And I think that's where performance marketing agencies, whether they build some internal dashboard or they basically everyone's in the same problem of trying to figure out what's actually true.
Right, right. When you are installing these systems, can you maybe shed some light on, like, maybe, like, the nurturing process that you would install into a company from, like, they clicked on a Google ad, they became a lead. Do you install any nurturing, pre-email, pre-text, selfie videos, anything at all to kinda nurture that lead before the consultation or, like, a quick 15-minute call that they might have, depending on the business, you know?
Yeah, I think email marketing is one of those tools of like, really trying to help stay in front of them, stay in communication, especially if they haven't booked, a coaching call or what have you. Also, it's interesting. I think what we found, like I had a big, like one of my clients I work for had, large email lists, and that was largely how they sold. Email still converts really well from a product sales standpoint. Uh, but it's amazing how now just people filling out forms, like, they just want the information. Like, they don't want to hear from us as much. They just want to know, like, where do I find out about the detailing prices, you know? They don't necessarily, like, need to have be chased and chased and chased. At least what we're finding is if we do a good enough job with the ad to form, they just will convert. They don't need to be chased down. I think that ongoing nurturing of those repeat customers and all of that, that's where email marketing is really strategic to increase the lifetime value of those paid acquisitions. So we certainly want to see that, you know, whether it's a CRM system that's really good or email marketing campaign that's really good, text campaign, definitely want to add those layers on. Just depends on the size of the business, right? Like we have a client in Florida, they're the boat rental and detailing company. They don't do a lot of email marketing because the frequency that people are renting those boats, like they rent it, they come on vacation, they go home, maybe they don't come back on vacation to that area. You know, next year they're going to Miami, this year they went to Cape Coral. So it's not as lucrative as like whereas detailing, right? Like that's super people need those boats detailed consistently. So that's a different kind of game for them.
100%. When it comes to your own client acquisition, what type of systems or strategies do you guys like to incorporate?
Well, we obviously use paid advertising because we're a paid company. We also, you know, have a good referral network, so like, a lot of times we get people in on coaching, but then we upsell them to a higher ticket thing, whether that's a website redo or because we find all the problems and we're like, "Okay, we've coached you. You now know your website's the problem. We know your website's the problem. You can either go fix that and carry on your merry way, or you can have us do it." We do upsell that way. We upsell sometimes brand stuff, you know, so we'll upsell like, "Hey, you don't have any of this. You don't have a logo, like, you don't have a brand, you don't have a website, like, we're literally working off of a Google My Business account, like, that's all you have," you know? So, it kinda just depends, and then I would say, like, something that we're expanding into is like free content and education. You know, we have like a $27 course that teaches you how to do a Google Ads campaign in a weekend if you want to do it on your own. And so we're trying to expand into like what sort of low ticket or free content can we help reach more people and expand into that more education space, which is always a growing space. I mean, we've been aware of it since 2018, but it's so hard to do when you have clients and you're managing your own like even you doing this podcast, you're giving up time to be with me that you could be, you know, doing sales or whatever else for your business. So but it is an investment that we see as a long-term value, especially I think as AI gets more competitive and people are going to look for people they know, like, and trust. It's like if you're a known quantity, you're a known face, your public presence, that's where they're going to look for their resources. So that's kind of where we're moving.
And you hit on the precise reason as to why I kind of started the podcast, right? Content is king. If someone were to watch a full 60-minute podcast, the probability of them knowing you, liking you, and trusting you is like it shoots to the roof. And
Totally.
not when you ever ask for a high ticket, purchase or you ask for a high ticket sale, it's probably going to convert at a much higher rate. It is a long-term game. Definitely not an overnight thing unless you put money behind content, but that's a whole different strategy. I do want to shed some light or at least give my insights on the low ticket to high ticket funnel. Great idea, by the way. Do not do free because I think the differences between someone who comes to the funnel for a free lead magnet, a $27 lead magnet is literally night and day. Like I know it's only $27, but the person who paid 27 bucks for this awesome like low ticket thing, probability of them converting to a high ticket or even a medium ticket sale is substantial compared to I got this free thing from Lead Rush and that's it. Just like the mindset, the quality,
Totally.
all that fun stuff.
I agree with you completely. And honestly, that's what we learned. You know, we threw out some free things, and it's much better to build a self liquidating offer where you have some sort of, you're being paid basically to build a buyer list. So
Yes.
then you deploy back to the buyer list a higher level offer. We've seen this with even other folks that we've advised who've now run with it with their own offers. And the scaling from a $27 or $67 purchase to now a $2,500 certification or whatever is so much easier than you would think it would be. We were talking about how one of our leads came through, you know, many of these leads that come through, but like they're the easiest sales we'll ever make. You know, like They did a $27 course and we sell them a $4,500 coaching package. They are like, "Great, done. I'm in," and we're like, "That was so easy." Like, whereas when we're doing referral marketing, it's just you gotta create more trust and it takes more time. And so I think that's why we've been like, to your point, we have had a keen eye on content for years. I mean, I literally that's what I did for others is create their content, their LinkedIn posts, their podcasts, their, social media posts. But it's always hard to do for others when you don't do it for yourself. And I think that's the game that we have got to get out of as, as owners is if, whether you're an agency owner, consultant, coach, whatever, is you have to start doing the stuff for yourself. It is a long-term investment. It can feel expensive with your time, but I think it is where we got to go.
Well, it's also you have to look at what is the highest leverage activity that I can be doing in my business. For some, podcast might not be the answer, or
Right.
making a 10-minute YouTube video might not be the answer. It's outreach, it's emailing, it's DMs, it's trying to, generate sales and business for the company, so it kinda does depend on where you
Totally.
in regards to the low ticket, high ticket funnel, it sounds like you're utilizing Facebook and Instagram ads for this, or are you actually using Google?
No, mostly at Meta is what we for just for the funnel, it's Meta. Google doesn't really make sense for what we're selling. Yeah.
Sure, for sure. Okay, so can you take me through that journey just out of curiosity? So, I see a Meta ad, I click on it, 27 bucks. What exactly are they getting?
So they're getting how to build a whole Google campaign from I don't have a Google Ads Manager account set up to I've launched my first ad. What they also get in that if they there's like a little order bump where they can buy a tool that allows an AI tool that basically allows them to does it for them. Like so does that writes the ad copy for them, make sure and we use this tool for ourselves. Like we've deployed this tool with our clients and the AI ad creative convert like we can see it does better than our ad creative sometimes. So we're like, all right, let's use their this ad creative. And so it just really teaches you from I don't know anything about Google Ads at all and I'm a local business owner to I want to run Google Ads. I have now feel confident to launch something. The truth is like it's not easy to do it yourself when you're just trying to follow a YouTube video or whatever because you're like, oh, okay, I got stuck. So we do have some ancillary, like, support tools, like, to as part of the package that help you diagnose what's going on.
Even at 27 bucks, that's really good on you guys.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get people to try it out, just see if Google Ads might work for you. See if you could maybe because there's a high intimidation factor about setting up your own advertising and
Absolutely.
spending money online that you're like, "I hope this is gonna convert because 'cause I'm dropping $10 a day," or whatever it is.
That part, it's like, "Damn, I'm gonna spend money on this. I hope it freaking works." Okay, cool. So I just purchased a $27, DIY build my own Google campaign. How do you convert that low ticket buyer into an actual high ticket coaching student? What is that ascension pathway?
Right now, so there is a offer page that comes up after you so you can, you get offered the $27 course, the order bump, and then you can sign up for our coaching kinda application, and so that's how people sign up there, they meet with us, and then we decide if they, are a good fit because some not all local businesses are should run on Google Ads, that's just the truth. Some industries are very expensive, like, for example, if you're a security company, you're fighting ADP, you're fighting Ring Doorbell, you're fighting all the big boys in that pond. If you're a personal injury attorney, you have to have a large budget to play on Google Ads. So some of our intake is just figuring out like what kind of business are you? What kind of ad budget do you realistically have to play with? Because we can't coach you if those two things don't check out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then from there, it's kind of we upsell a website. Sometimes we upsell a higher ticket. Like let's say it's a personal injury attorney. They have multi-channel marketing. They're running billboards. They're running streaming. They're running all these different campaigns. And there are some traditional, some digital. That's a more involved thing. We can't coach you for 4,500 bucks for that because we only do that for a single channel.
No, for sure. I'm asking these questions because you're obviously a little bit more advanced than I would say most of the people who I have on the show, and I really wanted to dive in and pick your brain because I know all this stuff, but most people don't, And
Yeah.
man, and it's people don't know what they don't know. At one point in time, I didn't know how the low ticket to high ticket process worked. And
Yeah,
once you know it, it's like, dude, this is like changing the game right here. Why did I not do this sooner? But again, you don't know what you don't know. Okay, cool.
exactly.
So there's an upsell opportunity and then possibly book the coaching call. Do you have any outbound sales staff, like a setter, to call the people who did purchase the $27 low ticket thing to try to get them on a coaching call or like an implementation call?
Yeah, we don't right now. It's something that's on our, horizon that we would implement. I think we're still refining our product, there's other products that we're like, "Hey, maybe we should spin this up, rather than this course." So it's like I think we're still trying to figure out before we really invest in that, like, what's the right product. But yeah, I definitely see so much value in that. And the second we had a winning like a product that we feel like this is crushing, like we would definitely have a setter in that position because I think there's so much value in not doing that work yourself.
No, absolutely. What would be the price difference between I come in at $27, cool. There's an option for a $4,500 coaching program. What's the difference between that coaching program and like the done for you version of that?
That's more custom priced. So it depends on the size of business and size of ad budget, that could be 13K a month to 20K a month, depends on how complex we're talking of multi-channel marketing. I think it also depends on how many AI tools we're going to build for like that team to have in-house. Like so if you have a one person marketing one, let's say you a lot of these local businesses will either have no marketing person or sales, they'll have a sales team, they'll have operations, but they won't have a marketing person. They might have an agency or a contractor that they give that to, or they have somebody who's sort of been tapped for marketing, but like isn't they're like, I'm not really a marketing person, I'm sales slash marketing.
Right.
So it depends on how robust the team is. If they have a team of three marketing people, that's a different game for us to say, okay, you don't need as much automation. But if they're a one man band who's not as experienced in marketing, especially on the paid side, we're going to bring in more automated tools to like help them manage stuff. Then we would maybe bring for a more robust team.
Gotcha. Okay, so thanks for the insights. I want to dive into the power of AI agents. So I have a client, he's in the e-com space. He owns an agency in the e-com space. He does Google PPC. We deployed an AI agent to where so we do cold email for him. When he receives a positive reply, from that reply, it creates a Google PPC campaign automatically, literally within seconds, based on like the Apollo data, his website, competitors, etc. Puts this in a nice, super sexy document and then sends that off to the lead in like under 60 seconds from that yes. We essentially tell them that you have two options. You can either build this campaign out yourself, or you can schedule a 15-minute call and we'll do this for you. And that's kind of like our process. And that right there, what you're describing, the $27 ticket and this free lead magnet that we're giving away for this ecom guy, kind of similar, right? Kind of the same. And I bring this up because you're talking about deploying AI tools and AI agents and how many do we have to install, all this fun stuff. For everyone listening out there, you can do almost anything with AI agents and AI tools. Like a process that is repeated and manual can be done by an AI agent and probably a lot better than you can do it. So like look
Yeah.
at that seriously. It will change your business, I promise you. In regards to that note, AI agents that you use internally, can you shed some light on those?
Yeah. I mean, I think we are maybe just dipping our toe more into it. I think with Claude, that's opened up a whole new game. Like we've built our own software. You can call it vibe coding, but we've built our own software. Like I said, we're beta testing this on our clients of like I told you, duct taping together Clarity and Google Analytics, all this. So that's something we've deployed. We have even just simple little agent, like my husband has an agent that goes through all his emails and gives him an executive report, right? Like
I'm saying.
today, here's what you need to miss, not from, you need to not miss these things in your email. You need to email this person back. Like, so some of the work that a VA would do, we are outsourcing to an agent because we could use the VA for higher value human high touch things that we need. Our operations manager, she uses AI ClickUp. I don't know if you're familiar with that task management system, but it's like Asana or any of these. And they've rolled out AI within ClickUp. And so we have a recap email writing agent that writes the recaps for, a coaching session or a client call or anything like that. So I'm having my operations person spend a lot less time doing menial tasks that, she's more valuable than that. That's where we're really looking for anywhere where we're like, I want to give this to an assistant. I want to pay someone $20 an hour to do that. Like whatever that task is, that's what, and then also more complicated tasks like I need all of this stuff to talk to each other and it's not talking. Can you fix it? Like for example, with clarity, like having an agent that goes through and analyzes all the people's clarity and then gives us a report that we can simply give to the client and say, again, we're not fighting because websites tend to be sacred cows for people. And it's like, we're not fighting you on your website based on our opinion of your website. Like literally your users are doing these things and they're mostly on mobile. So you're obsessed with your desktop version of your website, but your mobile version is actually where it's all jacked up. And that's what this feedback is telling us. Do it with it what you want, but that's what the facts are. I think that's but there's so many to your point, there's so many ways that businesses can use agents and we're even like feeling behind. We're like, oh my gosh, we need an agent for that. We need an agent for that. Like I think everybody, you know, it's
I
like,
feel behind too, but like we're not. Trust me, we're way ahead of the freaking spectrum
yeah,
on most of this. Continue, sorry.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that's kind of to answer your question. I think I was just talking with my husband today, like, I feel like for marketers in general, people are gonna look to you and they're gonna say, "What is your tech stack?" Like, how do you
Yeah,
like, what do you use to manage your world? Prove to me that you're using AI because I know marketing has a lot of, like, you can outsource copywriting, you can outsource ad design, development, like, basically anything that we used to do, proposal writing, like, we have everything outsourced to AI at this point.
it's literally insane. And like as long as the tool, the software that you're using has an API key, you can essentially connect those two together. And the best
Exactly.
part is like you don't need to know how to code. You just say, "Hey Claude, I want this done, make it happen." It's like, okay. And then you come back an hour later and it's done. Like it's effing crazy.
Yeah, even with Claude Code, you're like, "Make this," and then you're like, "I'm stuck. What do I do now?" And it's like, "You need to set up a database." "I don't know how to do that." "Okay, just set it up for me," you know? It's just amazing. These tools is like magic for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. I know one other tool that we like to use internally is essentially client reporting. So we use Instantly for our software to send out cold emails, right? Whenever, like every week, it gathers the data. So how many emails were sent out, how many were open, positive replies, opportunities, all that fun stuff. It takes all that data per client and then sends that into like a nice, sexy little spreadsheet. And that's essentially a task that a client success manager would have done. And now all that's automated. So we can focus on, keeping our clients happy in other ways. You know what I mean?
I
So
love that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, let me see. I have more questions for you. Give me a second here.
I think that's a really great idea. I hadn't thought about doing that with Instantly, but I think, that's definitely a hack. People reporting is such a huge aspect of marketing and it's tedious.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if you guys utilize cold email at all, but Instantly is my favorite email software. You brought up something about, give me a second, the data. F your feelings. What does the data say, right? Like
Yeah.
the business owners that you're talking to,
Yeah.
I want my desktop website looking sexy, but
Yeah.
nobody's on desktop looking at your website, bro. Everybody's on
Yeah.
mobile. All right. Optimize it for mobile, dude.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's the most frustrating as a brand person. I have both of those people in my brain, right? The brand person like, "But this looks pretty and I want it to like," but it's like, "But these videos are dragging the page speed," and like, if this is supposed to be more than a business card website, and I think this is where people need to understand, are you using your website as a business card to like attract opportunities to, if you're a startup founder, you want investors to look at a pretty website. You don't need it to convert. But if you are a business that needs your website to make sales, you can't obsess about keeping your video that's like dragging the page speed down because again that bridge is breaking there. So I think that that's where you really have to understand like what are you doing? Like what are you doing with your website? What's the goals? If you're what type of business are you? What do you need your website to and your sales pages to do? And then you do have to kind of listen to the data
Absolutely.
and it's hard.
From a Google PPC perspective or just a Google ad perspective, I come from a Meta background. You'll lose me in 2 seconds inside Google, but I know Meta like the back of my hand. I know on the Meta side, you wanna utilize a funnel. like not a website, but a funnel. With local service businesses, let's say, you're helping out dentists or a lawyer, would you say a funnel is a better approach for that? Or maybe like a full-blown, full-scale website with more information?
Both. Both can be done, but well, I think that funnels, are very ad friendly because they're set up with that funnel psychology. So if especially if you're running an offer-based funnel, right? If you're like, "Hey, we are just promoting car wraps and we have a really great deal for car wraps and, we wanna drive our Google ad traffic to this car wrap promo deal that we're trying to do," right? That's a great way to use a funnel. But if you're like, again, like going back to the boat detailing company, the size of the boat matters, the amount of like types of like servicing on that boat. People might want more of a buffet of options. So in that way, we're driving traffic straight to the homepage. But right on the homepage, it shows you here's the services, here's the size of boats we can do. Because that's also a limiting factor. Like if you have a huge yacht, and this boat rental company only has 3 employees, they can't service that size of yacht, that's just too they don't have enough people. So I think that it depends on, a lot of it's about calls, and so if you're a business that really needs the phone to ring, just having it go to, like, a lead form, where they're getting the phone call right away, you're responding within 5 minutes via text, even after hours. This is where another AI thing, AI receptionist, like, if you can set up an AI receptionist that after hours immediately hits somebody back and says, "Hey, I'm, Sarah from blah 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 law firm. You've missed us. You're after hours. I know you just got in a car accident, but like, we will call you tomorrow or the next business day. Please leave us a message with all of your information so we can have a member of our team call you back." Like that speed to lead is so like, especially with local, like if you can respond within like for personal injury, if you can respond within 5 minutes, you're 78% more likely to convert a lead. So a lot of these businesses, speed to reaction is where it's at, for Google especially. Like, because if you're paying for that lead, you got to follow through on giving them that phone call or reaching out to them.
Absolutely. Do you know who Alex Hormozy is?
But yeah, for sure.
So I love this video that he made back when he had Gym Launch before he sold it. There was one client in particular that was like 4x and everybody else in the program. And Alex was like, dude, like, what are you doing differently? Like, we're on the same ads for you as everybody else. Like, yet you're in the same program. How are you getting 4x better results? He's like, I hired one person. Her only job is to call the lead as soon as they come in. That's all she
Yeah.
does. She doesn't do
Yeah.
anything else but just call the lead as soon as they come in. And because
Yeah.
of that, I 4x the company doing this one thing, it's so crazy. So speed to lead
Yeah.
definitely matters.
Yeah, well, we've seen that, like, with this like, boat rental, I just go back to them because 'cause they're an easy example, but, I mean, they 3x their business within, like, 7 months, just running ads, following through. They hired 2 more employees. This year, they're gonna triple their business. Like, it's amazing what it can do for a local business to just, do some paid advertising, have a really good closing system, and just seal up that bridge, that's really what makes Google sing is if you can do that.
No, absolutely. 2 or 3 more questions for you.
Yeah.
Looking back, when you first pivoted into the consulting, done for you agency side, what are some things that you wish you knew before you got into the industry?
Well, that's a good question. I think I wish I knew, like, how much websites were gonna be a factor, to be honest. That's been something that, to me has been like, "Oh gosh, we have to do another website," you know? And it's like, I think there's so many people are so proud of their website that's even 5 or 10 years old, and it's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but your website sucks, And again, it's not my opinion, but Google thinks it sucks. All of our heat maps are telling you Clarity's telling you it sucks. So I think what we've found getting into that is we didn't realize we were gonna have to be so much in the website, like redoing business. Thankfully, we have a background in that. We have the team, we have the contractors to do that work. But I think I really was very idealistic in thinking like, oh, we can just come in and like get these paid systems going and like, make sure that they have the sales team doing the right things, but almost every single time we have to deal with the website. And so that's something that I wish I had known of like, okay, if you're going to really fix these things for people, most of the time, 90% of the time, the website is the problem. If people are running ads and not seeing those returns, it's almost always the website. And I mean, we have had clients running, 6 figures in ad spend a year on a broken website,
Oof.
having no idea that the website is actually the problem, and so they think, "Oh, I'm getting leads, I'm still getting certain amount of stuff per month," but actually that's all coming from their referral and their salespeople. Their advertising is doing nothing, and then we come in and we say, "Hey, we're looking at your advertising, we're looking at your website, we're seeing this broken bridge. You had no idea you just dropped 6 figures in ad spend last year into the toilet." And so it's like, that's something that I I wish I knew we were gonna have to address people's websites so much because it has been an interesting thing for us of trying to get away from, you know, doing people's creative work. We gotta address the website most of the time.
No, for sure, especially with PPC. And I think we have felt victim or became a victim of the propaganda from, like, GoDaddy and Squarespace, when it's like, "Oh, like, get a website. All you need
Yeah.
this is a website." And 9
Yeah, yeah,
the time your website sucks, dude.
yeah,
Getting back to your point, it's so funny. And I guess on our side, thank God, vibe coding, we can just use Claude or Gemini and, whip that shit up in, like, 2 seconds. It looks hella nice anyways?
yeah, yeah. For sure. There's a lot of ways. I mean, it's amazing, like, you can build, like, a landing page in seconds, but
And it looks
I
hella
think the thing I think that the thing that we're trying to, like, figure out is, like, how do we get out of the website business a little bit, you know?
okay.
Um, that's not really what we wanna be doing for folks, and I'm wondering if as people are becoming more aware, they're gonna start having their teams or their contractors fix their websites naturally because 'cause they're like, "Oh, I just didn't know this was the problem." I think that's what bugs me is so many times agency owners and business owners have no idea, like, what's happening with their stuff, and so we've even told agency owners, like, "Why do you not have clarity on every single one of your clients?" Like, because when something breaks and they call you about they're pissed about their ads, you need to know where the problem is, and so many agency owners don't even track this stuff.
Yeah, even to take it one step further, the client should never call you saying, "Hey, I'm pissed." I mean, you wanna have a proactive leadership position, like, "Hey, your ads are sucking right now, but we're on it."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
different talk,
exactly.
different day. Getting back to what you said about websites, is it good LTV though? Like, is it a good upsell, even though you don't wanna do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The perceived value of a website is very high,
Mm,
um, and the cost of doing it is decreasing because we can use all these tools, you know?
for sure.
So, it's not like I have to have, like, someone do the copy and someone do the design and somebody I still have people that do those things, but it is getting more and more competitive to be able to do websites pretty quick.
For sure. Agreed, agreed. And then last question for you. What are you, the husband, the team, lead, rush, the family, what are you guys looking forward to the most in the next 12, 24 months? Any big plans?
Yeah, I think for us, we're really looking forward to expanding into the education side of this and the certification side of this. I think, I read today with Anthropic, like 65% of the tasks that are performed by marketing professionals are going to be replaced by AI. And like that's a huge threat to marketing people everywhere, whether you're in house, whether you're an agency owner, whether you're, a contractor, consultant, whatever. And so I think for us really helping, I think you and I are there's a growing group that's more like in the 0% to 0.1% of people tracking AI stuff, but as we can kind of throw more knowledge over our shoulder as we're tracking ahead and kind of keep tossing more information behind us and people are picking it up and they're internalizing it, we can actually get people more trained. For me, the saddest thing is to think about people being left behind. So thinking about whether you're a marketer and you now just don't have the tools to do your job, or you're a local business guy who didn't pay attention and then now you're not even anywhere on an AI world, or you're a consultant that just fell behind on knowledge on keeping your skills sharp. I think that's what we're excited to keep rolling out resources and tools. Like if we can get the software built and launched that helps agencies connect all the dots and just, hey, the AI will tell you where the problem is in your client account. If we can help a business owner just learn a little bit, like how to build some AI tool for their business, like just one step, and I think just helping people baby step towards the future, because I think that what we're really seeing with AI is a coming storm. And I think it can also be an opportunity. And so I think for us, we're excited because I feel like we're at the front end of spearheading that opportunity and hopefully taking people along for the ride with us.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think AI wave will create more millionaires than any other wave in history ever.
Agreed.
It is
Yeah.
it's fantastic, and like you said, you and I are definitely ahead of the curve, and if you can keep passing the knowledge behind you, maybe I'm selfish, I'm not doing that, but we need people like you, Sarah. We definitely need people like you to pass the knowledge.
I think it's like, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? The more competitive that, uh, every business gets and that more people that understand these tools, the more we can actually produce and do great things for the world. I do think entrepreneurs and business owners can change the world. They can help solve so many huge problems. I also think, well funded families and communities, like when you're a business owner and you don't have leads, your whole system is choked. Your team is you're stressed about payroll, you're stressed about, every aspect of your business. And when you are getting to six-figure months and all of a sudden your whole thing is changing, that is freedom for that person, for their individual team and family, but also for their community. They're giving more to charity. They're helping more in, whether that's volunteering or whatever. So I really believe like lead generation, AI adoption, these things are have some philanthropic or positive social change attached to them if people can just get out of their own way and say like, okay, I'm just going to suck it up and realize I got to learn a new thing. And as an elder millennial, like I'm resistant to every new social media that comes out. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not learning Snapchat or whatever, TikTok. Like I'm done with these things. Like, but I've had to like get over that and be like, well, I've sort of figured out Chat GPT. Now I gotta like learn Claude. Like, like I probably gotta look at Gemini. So I think it's just you have to just sort of get over your own resistance to change, and that's where the magic happens.
I love your mindset, and because you possess that mindset, that's exactly why you are in the position that you are, extremely successful. So, good job, Sarah.
Thanks,
Where can
Jordan.
Of course, where can they find you? Last thing, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Sara Fernandez is the easiest place to find me, and then our website is Lead Rush Social.
Again, Sarah, it was a pleasure having you on. It was a great conversation. Audience, we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, Jordan.